I was just going to ask you, talking about war, I just wanted to ask you, Jama Baraka, he was talking about progressives at one point, and he said, he asked this question to progressives who call themselves progressive: how do you justify calling yourself progressives while ignoring suffering caused by the US across the planet? And I noticed, I mean, it depends on where you are, but on social media, I've noticed there are a number of US citizens just don't seem to notice at all what their government is doing overseas, and the tremendous carnage, the million plus Iraqis, have been murdered, Libya has been destroyed, and it just goes on, and they don't seem to notice, and at best are silent. And I just sort of wonder how that happens. Even sometimes when it's brought to some people's attention, it just kind of like doesn't seem to, resonate.
Yeah, it's a big problem in this country. Americans like to think of themselves as being good and that they are on the good side. And if they just had the other, the Americans they like in power, they don't care what they do. So Barack Obama, he was marketed as a peace candidate because he said he opposed the Iraq war. And that was the big thing at that time in 2007, 2008. But if you look at what he's done, the carnage he's caused, he's no better than Bush. And Trump, we don't know what he'll actually do. I mean, he's such an unstable person who just, I think it's a couple of weeks ago he gave his speech at the United Nations, and he called the North Korean president Rocket Man and said he was going to destroy Korea. And everybody says, oh my God, he's a madman. Who knows what he'll do? Well, Barack Obama did not announce he was going to destroy Libya, but he did it.
Yes.
So Trump just doesn't have a filter. Now, we don't know if that tells us about what he will actually do. But so far to this point, it's been words. It's been ugly words. And, Trump is bad for the brand. So you can get some, slick talking guy like Obama in there and people love him and think he's the peace candidate when he has caused as much mayhem around the world as Republicans did. So yes. It's hard to say, Trump is only, it seems like a long time, but he's only been president since January. We don't know what he'll actually do, but if it amounts to just words, he's, as far as American aggression, then he's a better president. We've got this nutty guy as president, but we don't know what he'll do with foreign policy. And the fact that he is so graceless and so boorish makes him an easy target. Yeah. But if they got rid of him, for example, he was in Vice President Pence, who is an establishment Republican politician, a professional politician, he wouldn't have all this craziness. He would just he'd probably be better actually at getting the right-wing agenda passed. So
he's a better salesperson.
Oh, absolutely. So, and Democrats would stand down and make deals with him. I know they would.
Yeah, and he's like a Christian fascist, so he'd actually be scarier than Trump. He'd probably be doing everything like in some ways like Obama did, with just kind of basically expanding things and all sorts of things going on, and yet he has this calm exterior and the sort of the
he's not he's not a crazy man, and so I argue with people like, we have to get rid of Trump. Trump should be impeached, and I was like, well, don't be so sure. I tell people all the time, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Obama. I think that people in the Black Agenda Report had seen the writing on the wall with Obama way back before he, became president and stuff. Did people realize what a warmonger he was going to turn out to be?
No, they didn't. No, people who paid attention knew. There was so much animosity against Bush. The fact that he became president, a stolen election, they stole the state of Florida, which, gave him the electoral college victory. And it's interesting now, he was considered to be the dumb Republican, and but at any rate, at the time, so he was very much disliked by Democrats. The Iraq War was very unpopular. And so it was easy for a Democrat to be sold as being a peace candidate. And the Obama marketing juggernaut is just awesome. Actually, it hasn't stopped. I don't think we'll ever get rid of him. So he would say things like he was opposed to the Iraq War, but then he would say, well, I'm not against all wars. I'm just against dumb wars, which meant not sending U.S. troops, just, war by other means. But I think you had to be of a, very much left political viewpoint to see the real story of Obama, and to see the fact that the system was not, that he was elevated because the system needed a new face. They needed someone who would get buy-in. So they had to get rid of this unpopular party and this unpopular president, and hope and change, and the first Black president. And so people really thought that they were going to have the change that they wanted to see in their society.
As awful as Facebook is and social media is, I actually, when Obama got in, I actually had tears in my eyes. That's how clueless I was about the whole duopoly and all of that. I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes. I really had bought the thing of the inclusive party and the white supremacist party and all of that. And then, and then I gradually hooked into Abby Martin's Breaking the Set and all that sort of thing. And I found out how wrong I was, but it just sort of, I don't know. It just, they certainly picked somebody who was, just looked the part but was just, he was really problematic.